Okay, so I believe this was something that happened around 2018 when I was around 10 years or so. I would say that I was a fairly quiet and shy kid back then, so I didn't socialize with people that much. And that kind of made me only have a really small amount of friends. And somehow, maybe it's because connections weren't as important back then, I could live with it. I could live with this amount of friends. So, I'm pretty sure most people would say that kids are innocent beings that wouldn't do anything scary. I can kind of agree with that most of the time. But somehow, that wasn't the case for me, apparently. Now, growing up, I would say that I was the type of kid that didn't want to go to places. So, basically, what I would do is that every time when a new event came up, I my parents would always try their best to get me out because back then it was pretty unsafe for me to stay home alone, and I would say that it was kind of reasonable too because I obviously didn't know how to take care of myself back then as a kid. And because of that, I ended up going to many events, and I I also, well, did many things and a few bad things as well. So now, before the old elevator thing kind of happened, there was an there was an exact same event that took place at a lakeside restaurant of some sort, I believe. And I can't really remember the exact same time, but it happened a bit earlier than the elevator stuff. And there was like one time when a kid entrusted me with his strawberry ice cream, and I kind of got bored from what we were doing because we were kind of just using twigs to play swords, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that back then. Everything was super boring. So I did something that kind of got me into a bit of trouble with with my mom. Yeah, I ended up doing I ended up doing something that kind of got me into a bit of trouble with my mom. Yeah. And so instead of holding onto the ice cream properly, what I ended up doing is that I what ended up happening is that it all started with, well, I would say maybe a few tosses until I kind of just flung it meters away and just kind of spill it all over. I don't know how far did I throw that ice cream back then. Math and physics weren't really the subjects that I'm good at right now, so I'm not really sure about it. Maybe it could be 6 meters, seven. It could be even more. Sorry about that. I'm kind of stuttering right now. So, um, because I did that, I actually had to apologize to the kid, and I also had to bring him a new ice cream. So, and to make things worse, the kid's dad was, well, the kid's dad actually knew my dad because they were friends with each other ever since they were in college. So when I kind of got back home, I was pretty much grounded for a day from watching TV because back then PC gaming wasn't even a thing. It didn't exist to me at all. I mean, I have watched it on the internet, of course, but I've never done it before. And my parents kind of banished me from ever touching the PC back home. mainly because it was mainly used for, well, work purposes. And back then, I also didn't have any intentions of getting into mobile gaming either, because it it kind of just didn't attract me. Okay, I guess maybe we're kind of going out of topic, so I feel we should really go back to the elevator stuff. Sorry about that. Okay, so when the elevator stuff kind of happened, the whole place, the whole thing. Oh wait, what was I about to say again? Sorry about that. Sometimes sometimes I really admire the people that could, well, say things that they really want to say right out of their head. Okay, so when the elevator stuff happened, the whole thing actually took place at a two-story restaurant building, and back then, when I was a kid, I was actually kind of getting bored of the play of the dance performances and the activities they were putting on. So, well, before I kind of got bored back then, I was actually on my mom's phone, but for some reason she kind of took it away and just kind of told me to socialize with the other kids, and I didn't want to do that. So I just kind of, well, wandered around the restaurant, wandered around the restaurant building for, I would say, a few minutes until I kind of got bored from it. And when I got back and, well, realized that the event still hadn't ended, I began observing the other kids' behavior. And oh no, when I say kids, back then I was only around 10 years old, so kids back then were around the same age as me. We're not talking about anything younger or anyone older, except that there's actually one kid that I'm about to talk about. Okay. And I saw this one kid that, well, and I saw this one kid, let's just kind of call him, well, Ani. Don't ask me how I got that name. That was actually from a movie. Okay, so Ani was actually the youngest son of Mr. Let's just kind of call him Robert. Now, Mr. Robert was actually my dad's friend and his business partner as well. He also had, he also had two daughters, which were both older than Ani. But I'm not gonna go anywhere detailed on that because they were not really a part of the story of mine. Now, I realized that Ani really enjoyed copying what other people did because I would say mainly it's because, well, he was around 3 or 4 years or so. He was pretty young back then. Now, so what I ended up doing is that I ended up getting closer to him until he noticed me and, well, kind of started following me around. So I went to the elevator on that floor. Well, and if you're wondering how that building has an elevator, even though the place only had 2 stories, I don't know why either. Maybe they had their own reasons for it to be there. And Ani was actually right behind me. So when we got to the elevator, I pressed the button I pressed the button and just kind of walked in when the door of the elevator opened. And then seconds later I would walk out and see what he would actually do. Maybe he would copy me or something. And, well, let's just say he did. And it did not end well. When he walked in, instead of walking out after seconds like me, he ended up standing there for a few seconds, smiled at me, and just straight up started jumping happily in there like a little kid. Now I know he's a kid, and that's reasonable, but yeah, he ended up doing that. And I believe that the adults were watching me from the tailboats too, because when the elevator door kind of just, well, when the elevator door kind of just closed, Mr. Robert came rushing to the elevator, started spamming the button, and quickly got his son out of there. And yeah, that's when people kind of, well, it's not even kind of. That's when people realize that I could be very dangerous sometimes. And back then, my parents didn't yell at me back home, which was pretty unusual. But maybe they have their own. Maybe they had their own reasons. They kind of just had a little conversation with me, and I admitted that I was just kind of testing Arnie. Yeah, I was, for some dumb reason, I was kind of testing if he's going to, well, follow me in there. But yeah, I ended up trapping him in there during the process. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I ended up doing. I was initially testing what he would do in that scenario, but well, I ended up trapping him in there anyway. And yeah, but that's pretty much what I wanted to yap about. Anyway, bye bye.